I must admit it's a little unusual for us not to use the singing bowl to quiet the crowd. I don't know why we're so reserved here this morning. Well, welcome to you all, friends, visitors alike, and guests. I'm Mike Griffith, and I'm the worship associate for today, and we're fortunate to have as our guest minister the Reverend Dr. Audette Fulbright Fulson, whom we'll introduce in a minute. One of the gifts of this community is that we share our joys and sorrows, and you're always invited to light a candle for a joy or sorrow in advance of the service if you'd like to, or send us a note. Otherwise, we will take the opportunity to call on you if you have something that's really on your mind that you'd like to share with us. So now, are there joys and sorrows? Yes, Kay. Okay, RK, our wonderful administrator, is back in sinus rhythm. For those of you who aren't physicians, we'll have a meeting about that this afternoon. All right, do we have any other joy? Yes.
I'm Candy, and we are so happy to have our daughter, Frayed, here from New York City.
Oh, nice. Welcome. And your daughter's name again is? Reed, from Kansas City. Thank you. From New York City. Oh, well. New York, Kansas. We're not in Kansas anymore. Yes.
Hey, I'm Kevin. This is Joy and Sorrow. This coming week, we'll gather in Pennsylvania with my family for the memorial service for my uncle. It's sad, but I'm so glad that he's not in pain anymore, and our family are joining to celebrate him. His name is John Smeltzer.
Thanks, Kevin. Are there others? All right, thank you very much. We now will take a few moments to recognize and greet each other. So as you care to, please stand, say hello to your neighbor, your friend, your guest, and give them a greeting.
Thank you. Do y'all sing on Wednesdays too, or do you have another day?
Normally sing twice a month, but the ensemble, which is just a smaller version of the choir, sings once a month, and then once a month we do musical interest.
Well, it's not a problem that we have a music today.
Absolutely not. It's beautiful. Because when we sing, we only sing one song, the ensemble. So there's lots of room.
Well, it's good to meet you.
Yes.
That's more like it. Just a couple of announcements here. First of all, there are a lot of announcements on the board, as you know. There's a mistake on one of them. There's Mindful Median is not on Tuesdays at 2:30, but at 3. And I'd also like to remind you that there's a new member recognition coming up on March the 19th. And so if you are a new member, you are invited to make an appointment with Reverend Bob for a private orientation session and signing the membership book before the cutoff, which is March the 14th. And again, that new member recognition is March the 19th. Let me introduce you to the Reverend Dr. Audette Fulbright Fulson, who's been serving UU congregations for almost 25 years. Her passion is for building healthy, intergenerational, and multicultural communities, equipping people to create change and loving on the people in her orbit. Now please greet the Reverend Dr. Fulson.
All right. I am feeling very powerful. Perhaps not as I wanted to be. Are we there? Thanks. You know how it is. 2 microphones. UUTC, good morning. Good morning. It's so good to be with you. As we begin our time together today, I want to invite you, if you will, just take a moment. Take a moment to breathe, to experience your body, to experience your presence with these beloveds that we're gathering with today, and hear this call to worship. It's written by the Reverend Barbara Peskin, and it's called A Prayer for Those Gathered in Worship. In this familiar place, listen to the sounds of breathing, creaking chairs, shuffling feet, clearing throats, and sighing all around. Know that each breath, movement, the glance meant for you or intercepted holds a life within it. These are signs that we choose to be in this company. We have things to say to each other, things not yet said, but each other's presence still trembling behind our heart's doors. These doors closed, but unlocked. Each silent thing waiting on the threshold between unknowing and knowing. Find the silence among these people and listen to it all, breathing, sighs, movement, holding back. Hear the tears that have not yet reached their eyes. Perhaps they're your own. Hear also the laughter building deep where joy abides despite everything. Listen, rejoice, and say amen. Let us do that. And I'm going to have to keep my order of service right at hand so I know what we are doing. And so at this time, we're going to share we're going to sing together. Let's sing hymn number 145, which is As Tranquil Streams. And I've been promised that my mic will be off as we sing. Please rise. And now, will you, I think, share with me this morning the words of our chalice lighting? Is that what we'll do? I just want to double check. There we go. Terrific. This light we kindle is set in the lamp of our history. We inherit this free faith from the brave and gentle, fierce and outspoken hearts and minds that have come before us. Let us be worthy inheritors of this faith, and through our good works, pass it boldly to a new generation. Thank you so much. All right, well, I get to do one of my very favorite parts. So thank you much. So I'm going to count on you at this point. Will you be with me in this time together? Because this, do you see how old this book is? It's even got tape on it. It's kind of old. This is one of my favorite books from when I was a kiddo. It's called Giants Are Very Brave People. And I'm going to half read it, half tell you about it, okay? And everyone will get a chance to share some of the pictures, but not yet. All right, so this is how it starts out. So everyone is afraid of something, but Bigelow was afraid of everything. Technically not everything. For example, he wasn't afraid of his mom, so that's good, so you can see him here. But he was afraid of almost everything else. In fact, for example, he was afraid of clouds. Any of you? Who is afraid of clouds? Anyone? Anyone? This week I was a little afraid of clouds, I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you. But he was afraid of clouds. They might fall on me, he thought. And this one, he was afraid of alphabet soup because he was afraid that he might eat letters that spelled out a spell that would turn him into something like a frog. So he was very nervous about alphabet soup. And he was afraid of rain, so he carried a big umbrella because he thought, well, you know what, rain might melt me. And his mom made a big mistake when he said this, because what she said was, honey, that doesn't really make any sense. Think about it. You know, you take a bath every day and you don't melt in the bathtub. And then this is what happened next. Oops, back one. Oh, there we go. This is what bath time started to look like. Well, one day he was out and about, and we can go to the next picture now. Thank you, great. So he was out and about, worrying about rain, worrying about clouds, looking up, and he all of a sudden heard just like this crazy noise down at his feet. And he looked down and he saw this little lady running around on the ground. And he had just never, have any of you seen a person like about this big? No. I have not either. But he did that day. He saw her and he was like, excuse me, what's wrong? Why are you running around and screaming? And she's like, what's wrong? There's a giant in my yard and you might step on me. This is terrifying. And he's like, I'm not going to step on you. Now that I'm looking down, I probably won't step on you. And she's screaming, go away. You're so scary and terrifying. You might eat me. And he's like, what are you talking about? I am not going to eat you. That's ridiculous. And he could see that she was really, really nervous. She's hiding behind trees. And he's like, I'm going to, let me sit down. I'm going to get closer to you. And he does this. Does this look like this is going to help? What's happening here? He was going to sit on her house. That was not helpful to the situation. Fortunately, he didn't sit on the house. He sits down, and he's looking at her. And they have a conversation, and she's like, you're so scary. And he's like, I'm not really. Actually, I'm scared of most everything. And she says, you are? Yeah, I'm afraid so. And she says, you know, in all the books I've read, giants are very fierce. I mean, I never travel, so I've never seen any giants before today, but I am absolutely sure that they're fierce if the books tell me that they are. And so she was talking very softly, and he had to lean closer, which scared her. So now it's not easy, right? And eventually he's like, I need to pick you up and put you on my shoulder so I can hear you better and we can talk better. And so she puts up there and he says, she's like, I think if you're scared of everything, you need to practice being brave. I think if you acted very brave, you'd feel very brave. And he says, you do? And she said, for instance, if you would go around shouting a giant sort of shout, I think that would make you feel braver. And he said, well, what's a giant sort of shout? Does anybody have any ideas? What's a giant sort of shout? Anyone? No one? No giants? No brave people? Anyone? Anyone? What's a giant roar? Roar could be it. There's a very famous one. Fee, fi, fo, fum. And so he's like, oh, okay. And she suggests this. And she says, listen, you practice this. And I tell you what, I'll make us some tea. I'll go inside. I'm going to get some crumpets and scones and ice cream cones. And you practice saying fee, fi, fo, fum and see if that makes you feel braver. So he sits outside. And he practiced saying fee, fi, fo, fum while she went into her house to make the tea. And he was practicing in it. He said it about 87 times. And on the 87th time, just when she was coming out, he decided to say it super loud. Can y'all help me? Let's see what it sounded like when Bigelow finally decided to say fee, fi, fo, fum so loudly. So ready? 1, 2, 3. Fee, fi, fo, fum! And this happened. Uh-oh. It worked. She was very scared. And he felt stronger, braver, but also very hungry. And he apologized, and he said, I'm so sorry I frightened you and made you spill everything. And they were both very hungry still, but she didn't have any more ice cream cones or anything like that. So she decided, well, you know what I'll do? I'll make you some pancakes. Now, you're too big to come into my house, but I'll make you pancakes. And so she went inside and cooked him 75 pancakes and just kept sticking them out the window, and he ate them all up, and he was very grateful and still very hungry afterwards. So they decided he should probably go home to eat. This was probably not going to work out. But he did promise that he would come back and visit her again, and he remembered what she had said about traveling. So he goes home that night, and as he's walking, with the clouds and everything, he's whispering fee, fi, fo, fum, and trying to feel braver. And that night, his mother had prepared a very special dinner for him. She fixed him alphabet soup, which he ate, but he did not eat the letters. He said fee, fi, fo, fum, and he ate it all, but he did not eat the letters. And later that night, he took a bath, and he only wore his rain hat. So he's getting braver all the time. And then later that night, he went downstairs to his playroom, and he was playing. Can you see what he's playing with here? Train. Yep, it's a train. And so the next day, he packs it up, and he takes it to Mrs. Pemberley's house. And when she wakes up and looks out, she sees that there's a train. And he says, I remembered what you said about traveling and that you had never traveled before. And I thought, maybe we could change that. So she comes out, and she gets on the train, and she starts traveling, and he enjoys watching her. And she says, I'm really traveling. And she says, you know what? You can see a lot when you travel. In fact, giants and everything. And Bigelow was so busy waving to Mrs. Pemberley that he forgot to be afraid of the clouds or his shadow. He even forgot to say fee, fi, fo, fum, because after all, giants are very brave people. So I have a quick question for you. Why do you think at the end, even when he didn't say fee, fi, fo, fum, he was feeling braver and he wasn't worried about things? Do you have any idea why that might have been? Anybody have any thoughts? Yes? No? Maybe? Yeah? Hi back there. So anybody have any thoughts about why, maybe? What do you think? He wasn't thinking about himself. He was enjoying that he had made Mrs. Pemberley happy, that he had thought of something new, he had a new friend. And that's often what happens. Sometimes when we meet someone new or we have a new experience, it really changes the way we see ourselves and see the world. And so that's one of my favorite things about Giants Are Very Brave People. And one of my favorite things is meeting you. Thank you all for being patient, listening to one of my favorite stories. I think we're going to light a candle and sing. Thank you all for helping out. That is always a joy. This is the time in the service when we pause and when we recognize that congregations like UUTC are sustained by the loving and generous support of the people who comprise its body. It is your time, your talent, and your treasure that make this place possible. So I think in gratitude, we will receive the offering. Thank you. Thank you. I want to invite you now into a moment of prayer. Isn't that correct? Is it the reading before the prayer? Yeah, no, the prayer. Great. This is what happens when you have a guest. You have to keep up together. So just a moment of prayer and meditation. The days that come and carry away your spirit, your spark, bow down. Lay your head on the hard earth and let your brokenness join the death that is stirring there. Life rebels against death, takes the very dust of our bones and reweaves it into glory. You were made for life, and life does not intend to let you go. But rest, you can. Decay and falling away from ourselves are part of that process. If you need to fall apart, then do, for life will hold you in that too. Will teach you how to desiccate and blow away, and then will call you back from the four corners of the earth and will renew you with the water of the tears of others who, like you, weep for all that is lost. She will breathe back into you the breath that washes from the mouths of children laughing, from the lion's roar, from the exhalation of trees. You will be reborn into the arms of beloveds, and together we will sing a new song. Amen. I want to say about this music video that we're about to watch. When I was talking with the congregation and I asked for this piece of music to be played as part of the service, Catherine has made just an exquisite video for it. Tremendous work. It made me cry before the service, and so I just want to express my gratitude for making this possible. I'm going to need your help just a little bit with this reading. there's a prompt for you. It's, what do we have? And can you tell what your answer will be? A day. It's a day. Why don't we try that really quickly? 1, 2, 3. A day. All right. Your cue is, what do we have? And I'm going to trust you at the end. It changes a tiny bit, but I think you can handle it. This is written by the Reverend Naomi King. Do we really apprehend what a day is? Do we feel its importance? Do we know its capacity? It has risen upon us from the great depth of eternity, girt round with wonder, emerging from the womb of darkness, a new creation of life and light, spoken into being by the word of God. In itself, one entire and perfect sphere of space and time, filled and emptied of the sun. What do we have? A day. Every past generation is represented in it. It is the flowering of all history. And in so much it is richer and better than all the other days which have preceded it. And we have been recreated to new opportunities with new powers, called to this utmost promontory of actual time, this center of all converging life. What do we have? A day. And it is for today's work that we have been endowed. It is for this that we are pressed and surrounded by these facilities. The sum of our entire being is concentrated here, and today is all the time we absolutely have. Celebrate today because we have a day. Thank you so much. So when I was growing up, way back when, one of the coolest things that my parents ever did for me was to subscribe me to the Parents Magazine Book Club, where I got these amazing books like How Fletcher Was Hatched, The Witch and the Cherry Tree, Cranberry Thanksgiving, and of course, giants are very brave people. Now, I love giants because, like many of the books that I loved in my childhood, hello, Chronicles of Narnia, the protagonist, Bigelow, he's just going about his life when all of a sudden, the world is a very different place than he thought it was when he set out. In Bigelow's case, he discovers that there are very tiny people, so small that they consider him a giant, which shifts his worldview entirely. And to be honest, when I first read this book, it shifted mine as well. There are these times when the world is a different place when you lay down than the one you woke up in. For me, there was this one particular July 3rd when I went to bed as a mother after a lifetime of being just me. There was this horrifying day we shared when the planes flew into the Twin Towers. Another night, I laid down with a cancer diagnosis. Watching the drone footage of a completely silent and empty Times Square in March of 2020 was another one of those kinds of days. Each of us has experienced some version of a world different at nightfall than the one we woke into. But after years of political upheaval followed by a worldwide pandemic, we are all in different days now. Since 2020, a majority of my own ministry work actually has been specifically in trauma and resiliency care. Now, my guess is that most of you are already profoundly aware of the impacts of trauma on yourselves or maybe on those around you, right? And one of the things that prolonged stress causes is an erosion of our capacity to be patient or, well, resilient. We may become prickly. We may even be explosive almost without warning, and we're not always aware that that's coming on. And as we slowly try to regain our footing in this new phase of our pandemic, people also report feeling very awkward, like we've forgotten how to engage in small talk. There are a lot more workplace stressors after years of low contact engagement. And in general, there's this very understandable default to being focused a little bit on oneself, a little too often to the exclusion of others. This past week, two of my dearly beloved colleagues abruptly turned in their notice at their congregations. One wrote to their congregation saying publicly, "I only leave now because it is the path left to me of the most integrity and care for the congregation. I hope that you will take this separation as an opportunity to reflect on what kind of community you want to be and what kind of legacy you want to leave to the generation after you." Opening up my social media to collegial community over the past few years, this has actually become an uncomfortably common discovery, going to bed in a world where yet another minister and congregation have come to the very unexpected end of their journey together. Now, this is nothing inexplicable. In a UU World article titled "Meeting Pandemic-Era Trauma with Choice and Radical Hospitality," author Heather Beasley Doyle noted, which each event, because this was a little bit talking about a time before the pandemic, with each event, a tsunami in Indonesia, Hurricane Katrina, a congregant's diagnosis, more congregants requested pastoral counseling while others distanced themselves. And one of my colleagues, Reverend Liz Stevens, noticed that within days of a new challenge, there would be a really strange conflict, like an email fight, between people who were normally very solid. She says, trauma was manifesting in the congregation. And Liz says, sometimes when we feel powerless, we look to assert power in the sphere in which we have power and influence, which might be a congregation. Stevens now anticipates trauma's myriad expressions, its unpredictability, its messiness. You have to look at and anticipate those things. And the long story short is this: it's when we're traumatized, we seek comfort, usually on our own terms, and many of us seek to exert power in places where we feel safe or where we feel empowered. Sometimes we don't recognize our own rawness or vulnerabilities. Oftentimes we become inflexible or rigid, and we forget to look for common ground. We default to us versus them thinking. And this is an issue that affects not just congregations, but it's very widespread actually in nonprofits, in justice-making organizations, and other community movements. And sometimes, if you're in any of those spheres, it can feel like everything is falling apart and the center is not holding. Maurice Mitchell is a nationally recognized social movement strategist. He's a visionary leader in the movement for Black lives and a community organizer for racial, social, and economic justice. And he has written one of the most powerful tonics to the kind of infighting that can take hold in anxious times, especially in places where people say and try to live with love and justice at the center as their core values. And in his work called Building Resilient Organizations, by the way, it's much more interesting than that title would suggest, Mitchell notes this. He says, I'm going to drink water before I tell you because I want you to listen and hear me as well. So he says, movements on the left are driven by the same political and social contradictions we strive to overcome. We fight against racism, classism, and sexism, yet battle inequity and oppression inside our movements. Although we struggle for freedom and democracy, we also suffer from tendencies towards abuse and domination. We promote leadership and courage by individuals, but media exposure, social media fame, and access to resources often compromise activists. We draw from the courage of radical traditions, but often lack the strategy or conviction to challenge the status quo. The radical demands that we do make are so regularly disregarded that it can feel as if we're shouting into the wind. Many of us are working harder than ever, but feeling that we have less power and impact. There are things that we can and must do to shift movements for justice toward a powerful posture of joy and victory. Such a metamorphosis is not inevitable, but it is essential. Not inevitable, essential. He then writes an entire brilliant treatise on the problem and its possible solutions. I'm not going to give that 32-page, piece to you, but I do want to just draw attention to a couple of his core questions that he offers up for our collective liberatory path. He says organizations, for example, congregations, need to know and be able to love themselves into the answers that he points to here. He says resilient organizations are structurally sound, ideologically coherent, strategically grounded, and emotionally mature. We have to ask, what kind of vehicle are we? What is that thing that we are? Where are we going? How do we get there? And how do we behave on the journey? How do we behave on the journey? Unitarian Universalism is a covenantal faith. Our lives together are centered not on what do we believe in common, but rather, how shall we love each other and the world? This theological commitment is absolutely radical in a world becoming more polarized by the day. This transformational power lies not in theory, but in the practice. Where are we going? How shall we get there? How shall we behave on the journey? I'm involved with several organizations, and it just so happened, lucky me, that they were all conducting significant staff searches all at the same time. So I was reading a lot of CVs, I was looking at resumes and cover letters, and then I was taking part in a lot of interviews. And one thing that was quickly and crystal clear was how many of the applicants were looking for something absolutely new. Many had left relatively lucrative fields or positions of some tenure to seek a position with a smaller organization whose mission was to serve the world in a meaningful way. And again, we would hear people would speak of their longing. I want to spend my time doing something that makes a difference. I want greater balance in my life. I cannot keep working at a job that does not align with my values. I want to serve a higher purpose. In my congregation, we have also seen an influx of young people and newcomers, people looking for that exact same thing. A new world is waking, a world in which tender, troubled people with trembling hope that something better is still possible arrive at the doors of our congregations, and what comes after that has the power to change the world. So our task as a radical, transformational, progressive faith tradition, one with centuries of experience eschewing rigid adherence to mere orthodoxy and facing with courage the task of seeking enduring wisdom in a world that's already full of rapid change, we have that experience, is to continue to open our hearts to one another with vulnerability and with compassion. We want to seek genuinely seek each other's well-being while also widening that circle of compassion to continuously include more people, more experiences of worship and wonder, deeper understandings of difference, and the delights that can come when we discover those differences together. The Reverend Nancy MacDonald Ladd describes this kind of work in her article. She's called that article, "Nothing We Do Will Be Perfect." And she says, "We can be both broken and called forth. We can only be converted from what we have been if we are also loving enough to bless every single odd but human thing that went into building our capacity for that conversion, including our periods of resistance and the occasional descent into our fears. After all, we do not have to be perfect. We don't have to be God's own image to be worthy of continuing the work. And we don't have to be paragons of fearless virtue to deserve the simple grace of second chances. After all, we can say fee, fi, fo, fum. Nancy says, flawed people can be afraid. They can fail and try again. People of privilege aren't broken irreparably by that privilege. The will to personal power doesn't negate the will to mutuality. There is always another chance and a different story to tell about who we think we're meant to be in this beautiful and tragic world. I think that most days we are supposed to go to sleep in a world that's different than the one we woke up in, at least a little different. We're supposed to be like Bigelow, changed by our unexpected experiences, and even more so by the people that we meet and that we care about along the way. Maybe the work of a transformational, covenantal, continuously widening faith community is to make the world a little different every day by practicing radical compassion and asking a few important questions. Questions like these, which I offer up in closing for this time that we're making together. This is called Can You Believe by Sean Dennison. He's my colleague, but he also happens to be the godfather of my elder child, so I have a special place in my heart for his work. Can you believe in a world where no one is turned away for being wrong? Can you believe in a world where mistakes are simply a way of learning? Can you believe in a place where you can feel the lightness of not knowing? Can you believe there is enough room at the table for you and the one that you call enemy? Can you believe in the improvisational nature of mystery and irrational compassion? Can you believe that training you to be a devil's advocate was a way of stealing your tenderness? Can you believe that you can get your tenderness back and become a chief collaborator with love? I hope that you can. Amen, Ashe, blessed be. Can we sing together? Hymn number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. Please rise as you're able to. Please be seated. The words of the benediction today actually just happen to be by the spouse of Sean Dennison, Teresa Innes Soto, Reverend Teresa. These are some of my favorites. To what have we promised ourselves? To this moment in time and place, to this community and even tenderly interconnected this planet. We promise ourselves to the idea that we are each and all human beings. We promise that there is something moving between us that we cannot tame and cannot measure. The chalice is a reminder that what flame we keep inside us cannot light the way. The light must spill to shine. And so, as I extinguish the chalice, I want to remind you that you are the ones who carry this light out into the world. Blessed be.